Welcome. This class is called Run Effective Meetings with Microsoft Teams. My name is Sarah. I'm a training specialist here at Microsoft on the Teams Customer Experience Group. Let's get started. After today's session, you'll be able to schedule and manage a Teams meeting experience from end to end. That includes the pre, present, and post processes. And you'll know how to access your meeting and content, and you'll be familiar with options for audio and video devices. So first, let's review the inherent nature of meetings in our day-to-day world. In today's work environment, meetings really are a must-have and can sometimes take up a significant part of our workday. And yet many times they feel unproductive, maybe a poor use of time. Well, successful meetings are not just about the actual meeting time itself. There are things you need to do before and during and after your meeting. And by design, Teams provides a unique and comprehensive approach to meeting management. And we're going to show you how to do all those things in Teams to help you streamline your meeting experience. So Teams supports different types of meetings. I'm sure you've participated in all of these types in one way or another. But first of all, you have these ad hoc meetings. Let's meet now. So you're chatting with someone, but you just want to progress that to a quick call, maybe a audio or video call, and you want some real-time help. It's not just enough to just quickly chat back and forth. Maybe you want to share your screen and get some quick feedback or work on a file together. But then often our meetings are actually scheduled. They're in our calendar, in Outlook and in Teams, and we need to follow up on those meetings. And it could be a one-time meeting like a sales call, a candidate review, or it could be a recurring meeting that's happening all the time, or maybe for the next 3 weeks, we've got a series of meetings. And then, of course, a lot of times we are part of a larger project. This project's life cycle has many meetings that are designed to help it get launched, right? And you might be a project manager, you might be the sponsor, you might be a SME coming in for a particular part or stage, and having access to the history of that information could be really helpful for you as you're wanting to see where that project lives now, where it has been, where it's heading. And then, of course, we're part of work groups like departments or lines of business. And often we are meeting to be in alignment with that group. There could be onboarding information or compliance information, or we're just getting the updates for that week. We're syncing up, we're getting milestone announcements or kudos, that kind of fun stuff. Well, we know that the meeting itself is more than just when we're actually at the meeting. There's tasks that we have to do before the meeting begins and afterwards. So before the meeting begins, maybe you want to send people an agenda to let them know what they're going to be covering. Maybe you're actually sending them some of the files you're going to be working on or the presentation. Or I think about meetings that are a little bit longer and we send folks a menu. Hey, what would you like us to order for lunch? That kind of thing. And you might even have a few action items for them to come in prepared before the meeting begins. So they're all on the same page, they're all in context. Of course, while the meeting is happening, there's things to do. We are taking notes, we're presenting, we're sharing our screens, we're collaborating on files. We are maybe recording the entire experience, capturing action items, updating files, that kind of stuff. And then, of course, after the meeting, to really be productive, we need to be able to follow back and con- continue on with what we just learned or heard or experienced. So we might want to go back and review those notes or watch the recording or follow up on action items that were set up. And with Teams, all of this information is captured in one meeting area. So we're going to explore how you can access that information and really leverage it to its full potential. All right, so let's go ahead and see this in action. I'm first moving into Teams. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to explore how to set up these meetings. We're going to start with these standalone meetings, meetings that are on our calendar. They live in Teams, they live in Outlook. And there's two ways to schedule these meetings. We could set this up through Outlook, or we could set this up through Teams. And I'm going to start with Outlook because I have a hunch that a lot of us actually use Outlook all the time. And some of you might even have Outlook opened right now. So let's go ahead and jump in. And the first thing that we want to do in order to create a meeting is we look for that add-in Teams meeting and we just click on it and there we go. That's really how easy it is. Everything else that you would normally do in Outlook is ready to go. But down below you have a link and you can use that link to quickly open up your meeting. And you also, if have a conference bridge information, if you have the conference plan set up, it's going to automatically be added by this add-in. But now think in mind of all the things that you might do in Outlook. You might want to invite a group of people, maybe a distribution list or an alias. Maybe you're inviting people outside of your network because Teams supports external guests. Your IT would set that feature up. Maybe you have optional folks that are coming that they're on the list. The other thing is a lot of times our Teams meetings are actually in a room. So you might want to schedule a room. Remember, we're connected with Office 365. We're connected with our Exchange. So conference room C, we're going to schedule that room. And often I will have meetings where we are meeting in a physical location, but it's still Teams because there might be people coming in remotely, or even because we want to have a virtual space to manage our work. And of course, with Outlook, we could set up a recurring. Right? So you have an option to make this a recurring pattern. With Outlook, you have a scheduling assistant. Maybe you use Outlook with delegate access. So you might be going to somebody else's calendar first and then turning on that add-in and scheduling on behalf of somebody else. So the big idea is everything that you're normally doing in Outlook, you could do right here. And everybody who gets an invite is going to see it in Outlook and could even join through Outlook, which is really handy for folks outside of your network who might not have Teams set up the way you do. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Now, the other option, of course, is we could do the scheduling through Teams. So in Teams, over on the far left-hand rail, that purple bar, there is a menu called Calendar, or I might say Meetings, but it has a calendar icon. We'll click on that. And this allows us to see our schedule and we can update and we can have some meetings connected as needed. So at any time, I can actually pop into a time here and just start a meeting. So we wanted to do some quick updates with our vendors that we are reviewing. So we're going to do some vendor reviews. And again, I could set a location. So if I want to schedule a room, I could choose that through location. We're connected with Office 365 and with our Exchange. We also have the repeat feature. So if I wanted to have this as a recurring, maybe for the next few days, we're going to be doing this. Or maybe every week, every Wednesday and Thursday, we'll set this up, right? It's the same logic that you would have in Outlook. For this particular meeting, though, it will not be repeating. We're just going to have it at one time. I'm going to go ahead and invite folks. I'm going to invite Alex. And I'm going to invite Pradeep. And I could actually invite people outside of my organization as well. I could just put that person's email address in here and invite them as well. For the people inside of my network, we do have a scheduling assistant, right? It's the same thing in Outlook. So I can see, are we available? Are we not available? What does that look like? So you have options here. I'm going to go ahead and use that back button and jump back in. And as soon as I send this out, we will all get invites in our Outlook. So Outlook and Teams are connected. They're synced together. I'll go ahead and schedule this. Get a chance to bake here. So I'm logged in as Adele. Adele is the organizer. And just like in Outlook, Adele as the organizer could go in and edit if she wanted to make changes or cancel. You know, there's options sometimes where you have to update your meeting. There's also a link here called meeting options. We get questions about that. The meeting options We click on it. It takes us to a page regarding the lobby. So the lobby is really about who can access the meeting before it begins, before it starts. And by default, only the people in your organization can do that. So if you're creating a meeting and you are inviting folks outside of your network, by default, they'll be waiting in the lobby until you let them in. But you could change that. If you wanted to invite vendors in and you wanted them to be able to come in and join whenever they were ready, you could set that up. So those are some options in there. I'm going to go ahead and close that tab and jump back in. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that this meeting has an option for chat. And we were talking about how the meeting experience is pre, present, post. Before the meeting even begins, you can start the conversation. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, jumping into this conversation, there's nothing here yet, but I want to set the tone. So I'm going to go ahead and send a hello message to folks. And just by doing that, this meeting has been saved. I see now vendor review. And now Pradeep and Alex, they have access to this and they can access it through Teams if they want to. I'm going to go ahead and share with them an agenda. I'm going to attach this file. I happen to have one in my OneDrive. Here we go. Now, I like doing this through Teams rather than sending it as an Outlook attachment because, for one thing, it's already part of the meeting. So people can access it while they're in the meeting. They're not having to look through their Outlook and go, where did I put that file? I don't know which one it is. But also because now I have a shared version of this file in Office 365, and we can come back here to files. And if if I'm making changes, I'm updating the agenda, they're going to see the most current version as well. So I like that piece about it too. I'm also going to just do a quick @mention. I want to @mention Alex. Alex is going to help me review our policies. So he might have some insights about what vendors we can choose based on certain policies that we might have. So I'll send that information. And then just for fun, I'm just going to put a graphic in there so you'll be able to see. That looks fun to me. So you'll be able to see what it looks like when we actually join the conversation. Now, this particular event, it might take us a few days to conduct, right? We're getting it started, we're going and actually meeting, and then we might want to go back and review, especially if we were meeting a couple times. So with keeping in mind that these meeting histories, you can pin them to your conversation. So for example, here's vendor review and the ellipses. You can just click on that and we can pin. So now I have it as easy access. I can jump to it whenever I need it. When I'm finished with this particular project, I can easily right click or use the ellipses and unpin the item so that now it'll just fall away as it becomes less relevant and other meetings take precedent in here as well. So that's the big idea. And what it means is that we can start that meeting conversation going, and then it comes to the next step. Let's join the conversation. So we could join the conversation through Outlook. We could join the conversation through Teams. Or what if you happen to be in the chat? Maybe you're reviewing the meeting notes or you're reviewing some of the comments before the meeting begins. There's also a place where you could join right now. So we'll just jump in. We'll go ahead and join. All right, and I'm signed in as Adele. So Adele's gonna jump in on my behalf. And I wanna show you that there's some really nice, clean features down here at the bottom, right? So one of the options, of course, is that we can show our webcam or our mic. We can turn those on and off and manage that presentation. We could also share our screen. So if you wanted to share your desktop with folks, and then anything that's on it, people will see. Of course, you could also share files. So you can see some PowerPoint presentations. They have some apps like Whiteboard or Freehand by InVision. So depending on how your network has been configured, these will be some options that you could access as well. And I'm going to mention a little quick note. For those of you in Skype for Business, we were taught that we should always upload our PowerPoint presentation and share it that way as an uploaded file. But actually in Teams, it's a little bit different. It's recommended that if you want to share a PowerPoint presentation, you actually share your screen and then present the PowerPoint presentation onto that screen. And that is handy because you may be wanting to do some recordings. Go ahead and close this tray here. And there's some more options. What if you want to start a recording? It's going to record everything that is being shared on the screen. Now, I'll give it a moment here. And actually, we're going to see a message that pops up and tells you, hey, you're being recorded. So there's a privacy statement. Everybody sees this, they'll know. And then down below, I see the red circle that lets me know there's a recording going on. Who can start the recording? Well, you do have to be a member of the network. So a guest would not be able to start the recording. And your IT has to give you permission to use Microsoft Stream. Microsoft Stream is part of Office 365. And when we make these recordings, they automatically get loaded up to the cloud, courtesy of Microsoft Stream. And that means that everybody who is attending the meeting can have access to watch that recording when they need it. Okay, so this recording's moving. Let's add a few extra features. I'm going to point out the meeting notes. So built into Teams meetings, we have a wiki-based meeting notes tool, and you can actually start this and be collaborative. So anybody in the group can actually stay connected. I'm going to go ahead and put in some quick review as one of our topics. And I'm going to make a note for Pradeep. Pradeep will present. So he might have some notes about the different vendors and he'll present for us. Okay. Now back on this toolbar, we have some other features. We have a chat. So I can open up the chat. And this is our conversation that we had earlier, right? So we saw this conversation. We have files that we shared, any app mentions we might have had. There's our graphic. That girl looks pretty sad right now. I can tell there's a meeting that's being recorded. And then we have access to our wiki notes as well. So they're all connected in here. Now I'm going to go back to our toolbar and look at our participants. So right now I can see who's been invited and I can see that not everybody's here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring Alex in. So let me show you what's happening. So in real life, I'm not Adele. In real life, I'm Sarah. And I'm presenting through Teams. I'm presenting my presentation, my screen. I've got a PowerPoint presentation back here. I've got some files, some folders opened, or I should say some browsers opened. And I'm going to go ahead and come into Alex's screen. Here's his vendor review. And he's going to join as well. And it might take a moment just because we're over the internet, but let's see what happens when Alex joins. So there they are. Oh, he's being recorded. And Adele can see that Alex has joined. We do have the option of removing people if we needed to, or even muting folks if they come in and they don't realize that their mic is on. If you have a lot of people in a meeting, you will even have an option to mute all, which is really handy as well. So here's Alex. Alex is going to open up the chat and see what that looks like. And he can see that conversation. He can see that he's been mentioned, and he can even start commenting or replying to some of these messages as well and staying connected. Okay, I'm going to move that out of the way for a second. Bring this back to full screen. So the big idea too is that as you are presenting your presentation or you're collaborating or you're sharing your screen, you can have the chat open on the side. You can also go back into Teams and access other features. So I'm going to click on chat over on the far left-hand side. And this shows me the conversation in full view. I can access the files. So if I wanted to jump in and look at a file that was being worked on, or the meeting notes, right? The other thing that I could do is I could even track back to another conversation. Maybe I'm getting some notes in comms right now and I want to jump in and check that information and review that. and always jump back into the black panel to jump back in and to that conversation. Um, right now, that was all being recorded under Adele's view. If she was sharing her screen, that would have been recorded. But let me just show you something else. When you jump into chat, keep in mind that you can put this onto another window completely. So if you're recording a particular screen, you don't necessarily have to be recording your team's window. That you could be recording whatever happens to be on that screen as well. So great opportunities to share, collaborate, what have you. All right, so we are going to close this meeting. Adele is actually going to stop recording. She doesn't have to stop recording. It will automatically stop when everybody leaves, but it might just be a good best practice so that you don't have any surprises at the end, right? So go ahead and dismiss, and we'll make our way back into Teams. We'll go ahead and hang up, and we are right back inside of Teams. That's the big idea here, which I think is really nice. I can see that the recording is being baked, if you will. It's cooking. And so we have access to this information. Now, while it's cooking, I want to show you some things that are visible at the same time. So I'm going to go to a meeting that occurs on a regular basis. There is a meeting called Executive Presentation Sync, and we meet daily, all the time. So this has a lot of history. This history isn't just one meeting, it's a series, a meeting series. And so we can access our files, and we can access our meeting notes that have occurred over the course of this whole series. We have some different apps. In this case, this was that Freehand by Envision. So I could log in and see what we've been working on. It's basically is a whiteboard app. And then of course we have recordings. So any of these recordings that we've made, people in the meeting can come in and click on the thumbnail and play that video. And then if you are the owner of that video, you can actually open up in Microsoft Stream and do some editing. Maybe you want to change who has access and give more people access to it, make some editors, maybe even do a little bit of trim options as well. So the way it works is if you are the meeting organizer, then you would be the owner of that video. And if you are the person who started the video, you could also be the owner of the video. So you could have one or two owners by default, depending on if a different person started the video or not. Let's see, if we go back here to vendor review, looks like it's still baking a little bit, but there you go. You got the idea. Now, we've been exploring that standalone process kind of from end to end, and how you can access it through Outlook or through Teams, and then through chat. It has a history that you can reference as well. The next thing I want to show you is how you might be working with a chat conversation and then might want to on the fly turn that into a scheduled meeting, or just an ad hoc call. Let's just meet right now, right? So I'm going to go to a group chat, and I'm seeing some conversations in here, and I'm noticing that um, Alex let me know that Grady's not around for a while, but he's available anytime if we want to chat. So we've got some different files and projects that we've been working on. So obviously I could chat with him right now, but if I wanted to schedule a meeting when Grady gets back, at the bottom, we've got this calendar icon that looks just like your menu. And what I love about this is that we can schedule this meeting and it's going to automatically invite everybody in the group. So I don't have to invite them manually. It's updating. This is a nice tool. I can also invite other people. So what if I wanted to bring in Megan? She's going to help coordinate with this option. Megan is not being added to our group. She's simply being added to this meeting that I'm going to create as a one-off. So we have some options in here as well. The other scenario is that we might just want to meet now. Hey, I know Grady's not around, but I'm just going to quickly call you. And if anybody's available, they can join the call right now. So at the top of your screen, you'll see some options to video conference, or audio or video. And then also, if you're in a desktop app, you'll have a button here to share your screen as well. So that's another option if you say, hey, I'm just going to share my screen with you. But I'm going to go ahead and make a call. This is going to call everybody. And if they're available, they can jump in and I'll show you what this looks like. So Adele is calling and we know that Alex is online, told us he was available. So, oh, it sees, let's go ahead and accept that. And we'll give it a chance to connect. Takes a moment or so. Oh, there it goes, very fast. Okay, so now they're both connected and we are in the group chat. So this is actually not a official meeting. This is a chat. It's an extension of that chat, if you will. But we have a lot of the same features. So again, we could share our screen. We could record if we wanted to, start or stop recording. We can access our chat feature so we can continue that conversation. Here's a little bit of what's different. Because it's not a meeting, we don't have the meeting wiki notes. So that's a little bit different. But because it's a chat, let's go ahead and expand this chat menu here. Because it's a chat, we have all the different files that might be attached to that chat. So the chat itself has files, and we could even set up different tabs or apps that are part of that conversation. So maybe you're using a OneNote as well. So keep that in mind. And um, otherwise, it looks and feels a lot like a regular meeting. The other thing I should mention is if I went to my attendees and I started to invite someone on the fly, I'm actually inviting this person to the group chat, not to a sidebar meeting. So keep that in mind. You want to bring that person in and have them join your group as well, like on the fly. We'll go ahead and close this out. And that's also going to dismiss it on Alex's side. And there we go. There's our conversation. I even see a log entry that the call was made and ended at that particular time. So one other little shout out is if you are calling a one-on-one chat. So this is a group chat, Alex, Grady, Pradeep. I'm going to go to Alex. This is a private chat just between Alex and Adele. With private chats, you can call them or video, etc. The one thing you can't do though with a private chat is you cannot record that phone call. So if you actually wanted to record the phone call, then schedule it as a meeting, and then you'll be able to have a recording as well. So Teams does see differently private chats, group chats, and meetings. They're related, but they are individual types of form templates, if you will. Okay, so we've had a lot of opportunities to explore these different types of conversations. We have one more big one that we want to explore, and that has to do with our project-based meetings or our group-based meetings. So I'm going to give you some examples here. First example has to do with this group called development and testing. So the dev and test, they consist of engineers and coders and business analysts and quality assurance specialists. There's also some trainers and some change managers and some project managers here. And throughout their life cycle, they're testing, they're interviewing clients, they're making updates based on client updates, and then they're testing to make sure that the code works, and then they're creating training to communicate that information, right? So you might be part of this group, you might have one of those roles and you're part of this group here. And the great thing is you have visibility to all of this information. So maybe, I'm a trainer, I might not need to know the quality assurance testing firsthand. I might not be sitting in on those, but it might be helpful for me to be able to review that information as needed, especially over the life cycle. I can start seeing a pattern. Or maybe you're the project manager. It could be helpful for you to be able to get bird's eye view of all this information. So quality assurance testing does a lot of meetings. And as they meet, all their meetings are part of this particular channel, this work stream. So they can share all of their files and their meeting notes can all be stored in one place. They have access to those wiki-based notes all in one place, and we can jump in and look at the meetups, and we can go back to sync, and anybody can access it. Again, we can mention folks as needed. We have options in here. And then as a trainer, maybe I come in and I go ahead and review this information that happened in the past and I want to just review that chat history, I can review the files, the wiki notes. I can watch the recording as needed as well. So I have it all at my fingertips, or maybe I'm even attending it live. So those are some opportunities. And I want to give you another example, another scenario here with our Northwest team. So the Northwest team is based on folks who are part of a location regionally. And these people could be all kinds of different roles and departments, but they're all connected within this local area. So we set up some special events for these folks that they can participate in. And some of them are lunch and learns, right? So it looks like the first Monday or the first Monday of every 3 months, there's a special event where you can learn more. Looks like there's one coming up. I see some community events. We've got a basketball tournament. We've got some safety preparedness. If I scroll up, there's also a team appreciation lunch. Hey, folks, free lunch in the break room. Join us, that kind of thing. And so the idea is that we can set these up and people can put them on their calendar if they want to join, or they can simply have access to that information after the fact. If there's any particular decks or files that might have been shared, they can get into that information through this streamed this channel. So the next step is, how do we set these up? So the first thing is we have to go to Teams. We're going to go to our Teams calendar. That means we cannot use Outlook to schedule these. We have to use Teams to schedule these. But I'm going to go ahead and schedule a event tomorrow. We've had our vendor review. I want to go back and recap with my Northwest team and kind of give us some ideas of what we had of results. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new item. I'll put in a note here, vendor recap. Okay. And again, I could set up a location, I could have it repeating, all those great things. But here's the big idea. At the top right-hand corner, select a channel to meet in, and we're going to choose, let me try this again. We're going to choose our particular team and channel. Going to Team Sync here. And the nice thing too is that if you have a lot of teams like I did, you actually can even just start typing in the name of your team, Team Sync, and it will help you find it that way as well. But now we have a channel-based meeting. It's going to live with that particular team channel. It's not going to show up on people's Outlook by default. It's going to show up on Adele's because she's the organizer. I really want Alex there too because he helped in that original meeting. So I'm going to make sure it's on his calendar. I'm going to invite him. But by default, no one else is getting invited. So the next step is, how do we let people know that we've got this meeting set up so they can invite themselves if they want to? I'm going to go ahead and schedule this. Give it a chance to cook here. And there we go. I see our vendor recap. There's the meeting. Now, Alex is invited. I'm invited. In fact, if I click on this banner, I can get the details, see the information about that. I want to alert people to let them know that we've got this recap. So I'm going to reply and say, what's the name of our channel? It's called Team Sync. At Team Sync. Join us for these updates. Okay. One day I'll learn how to type really well. Okay, so there it is. And now by mentioning the channel, everybody in the team is going to get a notification that there's some updates. When you have your channels in there, you can set your channel notifications, right? And by default, when a channel is mentioned, you're going to get an alert in your feed as well as in the banner that people are connecting to you. Now, if this was really important, maybe someone had hidden that channel and they weren't following it, there is actually a way that you can escalate that announcement. So let's say this was about compliance, they had to be there. You can actually mention the entire team itself, Northwest team. Please be advised, right? And in fact, I could even, to really escalate it, let's go ahead and expand and put an exclamation point in there. So they'll see some really some really big alerts that they are being prompted. And by mentioning the entire team, you're actually going to make sure everybody gets an alert, even if they have hidden that particular channel. Now, I want to show you what this would look like if you were seeing this information and you thought, oh, I want to add this to my calendar. So we're going to go back to special events. And Alex set up this event. It's a community event basketball tournament. And when Adele clicks on the banner, she can add it to her calendar. And basically, she can invite herself, put it on her Outlook calendar, and be alerted. And here's an example, the safety preparedness training, where Adele actually already did. She added it to her calendar, and she has accepted it, and she'll see it just like a regular meeting. So that's the big idea of channel meetings. All right, let's go ahead and recap all of this because there's a lot that we've covered. Let's put it all together. So the first thing I want to show you is one more glimpse of what the meeting looks like, because sometimes our version looks a little bit different from your version. And so here's what you'd be expecting to see in your meeting experience. You're going to have a lot of presentation tools so that you can turn your video on and off. You can share your screen. And then, of course, you can chat and manage folks. But in your more options, it's going to open up a menu with lots of features. We were exploring how you can start recording. There's also going to have device settings. So if you wanted to switch from your headset to, let's say, a conference room speaker phone, you could do that. We also explore the meeting notes. Meeting details would be something like, oh, what was that log or the link that connects us? What was the phone number, right? So sometimes they forget, they lost their email. Like, I can't find my email to connect. Can you share that with me? So you can give them the invite info. The video with blur, that would be if you are using your webcam and you're presenting, but you might have some information behind you that you do not want to show. So it's going to blur, the magic of technology, everything except for you. So you will be visible and the other parts will be blurred. And then the keypad would be if you're using a dial conference call, it's a way that you can connect that way as well. All right. And then to recap, we had different types of meetings. We had the ad hoc meetings. Those would be more like a phone call, and you're just going to meet with someone on the fly. They are actually a chat, and you're taking your chat and you're progressing it to a audio or video call. One thing to keep in mind is that a one-on-one chat cannot be recorded. And also, it's not a meeting, so it doesn't have wiki-based notes, but you could use other tools like OneNote or Word or Excel or whatever to take those notes instead. And most of our meetings that we think of are actually these scheduled meetings. They're in our calendar, they live in Outlook and they live in Teams. We can access them through Outlook or Teams, and they could be a one-time, they could be recurring. And if we're using Outlook, obviously we have extra features like alias and delegate access. So those are some nice elements for scheduling through Outlook and then just jumping in Teams when we're ready. And then, of course, the meetings can be a channel-based meetings. These have to be scheduled through Teams. We cannot schedule them through Outlook, but we can invite folks manually, or we can point people or alert them so they can add themselves. And this will be stored with the channel, so it gives visibility to everybody if they want to either attend or be able to access the information after the fact. All right, so because channel meetings is kind of a new idea, let's just take one more glance at standalone versus channel meetings. What is that again? So I would say that a standalone meeting is really our default, but they're great for these one-off topics. You're using Outlook features, so you might want to schedule on behalf of somebody. Maybe you're doing a sidebar meeting. So you are maybe doing a, a meeting that's not for the entire group, or you're inviting people outside of the group, or maybe some folks that are external that are not part of your particular group or channel that you want to have connecting. But a channel-based meeting would be really handy if you want to have something that's connected with an ongoing project or initiative, and you want to document that life cycle. so that people can jump in at different stages and see the end-to-end process. It's a great way to have one source of truth, and you have visibility, you have transparency, you're reducing those hallway conversations, if you will. And if you think about it in terms of a work group, this is going to be a great way to have information for onboarding and for compliance and for announcements. So it's all in one place and people can stay up to date on what's current for that particular group. Now, the last thing we want to check out is devices. We know that we can use a headset or we could use a conference room speaker mic, and there's a lot of different devices, and sometimes you're thinking about, okay, where is this meeting being conducted? Is it at my home? Is it in a conference room? Do we have closed doors, or is this an open office space environment? So that might determine how we're going to connect. Who else is going to be joining us? Things like the quality of your devices as well might make it an issue. Is it compatible with Teams? So there's different things that we might be testing, and ideally we'd be testing this before we had a really big conference or a really big meeting. But a couple things to point out. First of all, you can go online and you can look for devices that have been tested by different partners to make sure that they are compatible with a Teams environment. And so this website, aka.ms/Teams devices, is a great way for you to find out what devices are compatible with Teams, what's working. So in case you're thinking about updating. And the other thing I wanted to point out is that when you're in your desktop version of Teams, you can actually go to your settings and you can test your devices. So your profile badge is that top right-hand corner. It's your picture of you. And in your devices, you can test your audio devices, your camera, etc., to make sure that it's working the way you would expect it would work. Nice little tip and trick there for you too. And of course, you can connect with many different devices and platforms into Teams. So the most robust is going to be a desktop, which is supported through Windows and Mac. And it's the similar interface. So it doesn't matter if you're Windows or Mac, you're going to have a similar experience either way. Under the hood, the code of Teams is the same, which is really nice. And then, of course, you could jump in through a mobile device. It's very robust. So that means that through your smartphone or through your tablet, you can attend a meeting, you can share apps, you can chat with folks. And then what if you're inviting folks externally, or you're remote, you're at home, and you don't have the opportunity to download software onto your system? Even though it's free, you might not be able to do that. But it doesn't matter because you can access through a browser. So anywhere you have internet connection, you can join this Teams meetings. That's the big idea. All right. So where do you go from here, right? What's next? Well, we covered a lot of ideas about how you can leverage Teams for that entire end-to-end experience. And that in itself is going to help you become more productive and more efficient, having all of it in one space, being able to access that information. We would love for you to go in and start setting up some meetings and start accessing your content as well as exploring some of those video devices. We're also going to point out some great links for you to consider. So for example, we have live online training at aka.ms Teams Live Training. And we also have self-guided articles. So support.office is going to have uh, quick resources where you can walk through at your own pace, including options specifically geared for Teams and Teams meetings as well. More training that you can access through aka.ms/Teams training. And then, of course, we talked about those Teams devices. So if you want to go and review some other devices that would be compatible with a Teams environment. Well, I want to thank you again for attending. Have a great day, and we look forward to exploring more with Microsoft Teams with you.